Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Ivy League, a Chicago Cubs podcast. I, of course, am one-third of the hosting team with Ethan Davis and Rob Orsterman. I am Marco Santana in beautiful Orlando, Florida. Guys, I said this before we started. I'm wearing number 10, obviously rough around Santo, but also because we made it to episode 10, believe it or not. That's a milestone. How you guys feel about that?
Good start.
How about beating the Dodgers in Dodger Stadium?
We got a lot to talk about today. This is good stuff. We're talking about the first place Chicago Cubs once again, just coming off what was expected to be a tough road trip, ended up being it was tough. It was a lot of hard fought games. We didn't get chased out of either of those towns. So that was good. We're talking a little more about Shota, who's getting back to form. But there's some bad stuff to talk about too. You know, Justin Steele, that was huge. We'll get into that. But Rob, give us the news, right? We have got an email address for people who want to follow along and talk to us and kind of just correspond. So share that with everybody.
So we've got ivyleague.cubbies at gmail.com. CUBBIES.
That's awesome. And I think that means we're actually starting to become like a real person, right? Now that you have an email address, and that's what you need.
Right.
And Ethan, we're working also on putting this on Spotify. We figured once we got double digits, let's make it real, right? All these things coming together at once.
Yeah, and Spotify should be good to go by late tonight or early tomorrow morning. So hopefully by the time the viewers see this, there's a Spotify link as well.
Yeah, and let's just put it out there. Rob, if we share an email and no one emails us, we don't really have an email address. So if you guys are out there want to send us an email, anything Cubbies, let me know. You want to know about Orlando's theme parks? You want to know about Savannah's beautiful? You must have some parks, right? Or Ethan, where are you at again? Normal?
No, DeKalb. So if any Huskies.
Any Huskies out there want to say hello?
Notre Dame upset all day long.
So yeah, just let us know. We're ready to go. We're excited about the season. We're excited about the podcast as well. And last week when we left, we were kind of talking about a big 6-game stretch on the West Coast, the Dodgers and Padres. Let's start with the Dodgers series, right? And just one word to describe the Dodgers series from each of you. Ethan, why don't you go first?
Boom.
I like it. Rob, yours. We will elaborate on boom here in a second. Rob, what's yours?
Inspiring.
Yeah, I mean that's a good one because I think there is it's too early to say like a test of anything, but yeah, it's very much mine is going to be a hyphenated word. Holy shit! Honestly, listen. I'm not a doubter. I'm not a hater. I think if you guys have learned me over the last couple months, I'm confident. But man, when they can put up some wins against the Dodgers, that was great. I mean, Sunday Night Baseball, right in front of the whole world, saying, "Listen, this Cubs team is not any we're in first place, but not because of our division. We're in first place because we're a good team." Talk about the importance. Rob, talk about the importance of that. It's not just we're beating the Central. No, we're beating some real teams.
We're beating some real teams. We beat the World Series champs.
Yeah,
and we're going to talk about the Padres series a little more in depth based on recency. But we put up a good fight against the. I think they'd be the best team in baseball right now, at least win-loss column wise. And the Dodgers. It was nice to take that series from them at home and put that trouncing on them, right? The likes of which Dodger Stadium has never seen,
or hasn't seen in a while.
Oh no, that was their biggest home loss ever, I thought.
That 16
whatever it was
16
run.
nothing, I think. Yeah, it was always like
Yeah.
it was like the seventh inning. It was only like 6-0. Next thing you know, they just kind of pull away. Ethan, man, talk about the Cubs side because I think this is the confidence, right? This is like here we go, early season. You and I'm going to put this in quotes because you have a good team, but to do something like that to these Dodgers had to be huge, and you saw a little bit of it too in the San Diego series. But we'll talk about that in a second.
No, and I picked Boom because that game on Sunday with 16-0, that was like, we're here, we're serious. They did it to him on primetime TV in their home stadium. The defending World Series champs, who, by the way, had the most ridiculous offseason of my lifetime. And
they're stacked.
we have the toughest April schedule, and we've talked about that, and there's no denying it. And so far, we are not just riding that difficult roller coaster. We're on top with a cigar and a glass of bourbon saying, hey, watch this. And I'm loving it. They're exceeding all of our... Realistically, we were all agreeing that, hey, if we can make it out of here 500 or close to it, we're happy. Well, we're above 500. And we embarrassed the Dodgers on live TV. I mean, what more do you want? Are you not in your tape?
Well, let's run the tape back. And I swear to God, I wouldn't doubt if I said I'd be happy with 1-5. And I'm talking about like low expectations. But I think I said last week, like, I almost didn't care if we got swept as long as every game was close. And then they come and do this. I mean, I think again, I'm tempering my expectation. We're still only April 17th, but for now we're looking pretty good. Rob, what stood out for you? Obviously, the trouncing was big, but we didn't face the back end of the rotation either.
No, we faced their best pretty much.
Yeah,
and I mean, we lost that first game. 0-3.
That was a great game, though.
Disappointing, but we bounced back with a 16-0, which was obviously a really fun game. Obviously, really cool to see. But I think the most important one was what was that Sunday's game?
Yeah, the 4-2 one.
The 4-2 win, where Happer didn't get a hit or a walk. Our leadoff man didn't perform to expectations.
Right.
Not mad at him, not calling him out.
Yeah.
But we got picked up by Michael Busch and PCA.
Yeah.
They pretty much won the game for us, honestly. And that was really good to see. Two of our premier younger guys make that much of an impact against that good of a team.
Yeah, I hate to bounce around too much, but I'll tell you, I want to say one thing about the opening 3-0 loss. That was a freaking great Major League Baseball game. It was just a really good game. One swing turned it all, and that was unfortunate. They made it and not us.
Tommy Edmond.
He's like, wherever he goes, he finds a way to beat the hell out of us. But it's like, but I mean, you look at the game, and it really was a great launch to what turned out to be a good series. And then we go just down the road and San Diego, and again we lost 2 out of 3, but I feel like we were in them for the most part. I mean, the first game ended up being a blowout, but the first 6 innings we were right there.
Yeah, and I just think every now and then your bullpen is going to collapse, and we've seen it across the majors already so far.
Oh yeah.
And you know what? It's give and take. We choked that first game, and then the next game, Caleb Thielbar gets a save.
Oof.
So you give, it's give and take. You win some, you lose some,
absolutely.
and that we saw that tenfold. But PCA is stepping up like that, and finding his power is huge. And I think Michael Busch avoiding the sophomore slump so far is awesome. I mean, look at Corbin Carroll last year. It took him until really last month and a half of the year.
I don't want to look at Corbin Carroll ever again, but we will this week. But still, go on.
So I'm just, one of the best players in baseball had his sophomore slump. So I was just, if I'm being honest, I was a little worried about Michael Busch. And man, he comes in clutch on the West Coast. That's for sure. And so I don't know. I think we lost a close one. Last game, I don't know if I agree with putting Luke Little in, but sometimes you just got to throw somebody into the fire and see if they can handle it. So lots of good from both series.
We knew Little was fresh.
Yeah,
I think that's the only real thing
I didn't think all those walks fresh though, but
No,
Yeah, that was.
no. Looked more
Um,
like rusty than fresh, but
we'll have to figure it out. But I mean, I think our bullpen's better with Luke Little in it than without it, frankly. Without him, I think. I mean, and again, we're gonna talk about the two arms come here in a little bit, but I mean that series was a really good indication that we needed those guys up here. Like Palencia just, had a. I wouldn't call it shaky out in the second game, but he had a couple good games, and yeah.
So let's wrapping up the California series there.
Yeah.
Matthew Boyd so far finishes that series as our ace currently.
Yeah, I think
besides Shota.
By the numbers.
Yeah, by the
Anyway.
numbers. Yeah, but Shota pitches like an ace right now, though.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, look at Shota. Like it's funny because we're only 2.5 weeks in or something like that, and he's already had so many seasons. You know what I mean? Like the first couple, he just. I mean, yesterday he walked everyone, but he managed to work out of it. That's the one thing I'm worried about, though. He's been walking more people, although I don't want to go on a rant about umpires, but
we could.
we definitely could. To talk about Ethan, like his pitch mix. He said something really smart. I think it might have been Taylor McGregor who reported about. I was talking about like it's a new year. I have to find new pitch mix because last year it worked with just like two solid pitches. Now he's pitching a lot more of his curveball. Ethan, talk about just the importance of mixing it up, and he's proving how important that is.
Yeah, and I mean, his velocity is a little bit lower on his splitter than his fastball, and then now you've got the curveball to worry about. And if you've noticed Shota's pitch sequencing, it's even as a guy that pays a lot of attention to pitchers, it's a little bit hard to predict what he's going to throw next. And I think that just goes to show not just how much effort he's put in the offseason, but just how actually much better Amaya has gotten at calling games. And I wonder how much of that Carson Kelly's helped him out with too. So I think not just pitching wise, he's gotten better. I think we've gotten short up with the pitch calling from behind the plate too. I think it's been a lot better so far this year.
You bring up a really good point, and Rob, I hope you expand on this a little bit. That's Carson Kelly because he does have that veteran presence. Even though he's doing well offensively, and obviously that's what we see, you got to look at his veteran presence about just his defense.
He's the best player in baseball offensively right now.
Yeah. I mean,
I know that's not going to last, but technically
we can't say Carson Kelly without bringing up the fact that he's played 10 games, hitting 400, and 4 homers?
Yeah.
In 10 games,
and a cycle, and one cycle.
Yeah, and a cycle. Unbelievable play from Carson Kelly to start the year. Somebody has been in Amaya's ear. I hope it's Kelly, and I hope he stays in his ear. I think it's Carson Kelly because I think he's got the veteran mind going on.
Yeah, we need that.
I think if we continue to mix those two up, keep them both fresh, keep them both hitting, I think we got a really legitimate 1 and 2 catcher there that keeps us in the season.
Well, you look at the statistics, and it's like they're the top catching duo in the whole league. You just want, like, by the end of the year, you just hope we get like 70% of that. You know what I mean? Even just getting 70% of that is enough to be a real contributor. I mean, it's not all fun and games, though. Unfortunately, we do have a really big. We'll call it a problem right now. We'll just gotta see down the road how it works, and that's obviously Justin Steele.
I thought you were talking about the problem of our defense making like 4 mishaps in an inning and a half.
No, we'll talk about that later.
Justin Steele's the problem too. Yeah. Okay, got it.
Yeah, no, Justin Steele is just look at his just the contribution he's had over the Cubs for the last couple of years, and now when you lose him. Ethan, I mean, obviously a tough blow, but we said it everywhere. Everyone says it all the time. No one gives a shit. You got a next man up type of stuff. Otherwise, a very promising season could go to shit real quick.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys are, but I'm subscribed to The Athletic. I just pulled up the article to refresh myself really quick. But I think it was Pat Mooney. They had talked to the Cubs front office, and they're like, "It's April. Nobody wants to trade, but of course, we are going to eye the trade market for a starting pitcher at the deadline." Which we could sit here and argue, Jed's cheap. They don't spend money. Blah 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 blah. But you know what? Our front office, they're talking to Tucker. They've already reached out to PCA on an extension, and they've come out publicly on April 16th, which was yesterday, that, oh yeah, we're definitely going to add a starting pitcher at the deadline. I mean, I just think all around the culture this year is different. I think we want to win, and the fact that Justin Steele being out, we've heard more headlines about it and whatever than hearing anything from the locker room or the front office. It seems like the Cubs team as a whole, and it trickles down to the front office, is like, well, we still want to win, and we're going to do what it takes. And we have not seen that in a long time. And
well, they believe in this team. They believe in this roster quite a bit. And I think that's a big part of it.
Rightfully so. I think the roster's earned it so far.
I agree. I think it's part of
who's the next man up then?
Well, I think.
I mean,
perfect scenario, Sandy Alcantara, but I think the asking price is going to be asinine.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's not. I don't even want to start thinking about
2 years
that.
Of control.
Yeah, I don't even want to start thinking about that, because the asking
I'm not.
price, I'm
not even thinking about the trades. I'm thinking about
well, right now, Colin Ray looked good the other day.
Still got Javier Assad about to come up.
Assad's got his rehab assignment right now, I think, right? So there's still more artillery on the way. There's more. We got more weapons coming back. I mean, I think the good thing is, like, they did stock the starters this summer, or probably this winter. So they do have.
I'm gonna say Birdsell gets an eye at a start within the next couple of months, next month or.
It depends how quickly Assad comes back, and if he just holds on to it, or if Colin Ray continues to do what he did the first time out. I almost hope that doesn't happen, Rob, because that means that the person in there, just kind of locked it down. But yeah, anything can happen. And Ethan, talk a little bit about just the whole, the way council right now is dealing with this. I think he's showing some things about how good he is. I mean, he's taking a lot of heat.
Yeah, I before I talk about that, I just want to touch one more thing on the starting pitchers really quick. My big concern right now is if Javier Assad comes and he's taking a steady rotation. It isn't that he's not a good pitcher. Me and you are very high on him, but he can really only get 5. We don't see him go past 5 innings. And right now, that our back end of our bullpen is that, Merriweather, Hodge, and Presley are actually firing on all cylinders right now. It's the middle of the bullpen that I'm a little concerned about. So I would be concerned with Assad just because he's not an innings eater. But as far as Craig Counsell, he's showing that he's ballsy too. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I saw Caleb Thielbar go in to save the game. I grabbed another beer and said, well, this is how tonight's going to go.
Let's see how this goes.
And I don't think especially somebody my size, I don't think it was humanly possible to jump out of my couch so fast when he got that final out. But that's, and it shows too that with putting Luke Little out there, I mean, honestly, as much as I might have disagreed with it, the more I think about it, it's just like, what else was he supposed to do there? I mean,
on the roster.
Some of these, it's April. You can't be having your top arms going back to back all the time. Yeah. Especially when you're still technically losing at that point. So
not to that extent.
Well, I see a lot of
Counsell is managing for the long run. I don't think he's managing for the game right now. I think he's managing for the season, and that's again winning culture. I
see a lot of takes where I'm like, why aren't they playing, or why aren't they pitching their 3 best at this time? And like, they're losing. It's a strategy. You need. I mean, as much as it would be great to have Presley pitching or Presley and Hodge and pitching every single day. That's not going to happen. You need to give them rest during the week, and sometimes that means, I won't say giving up the game, because obviously you want whoever you throw in there to get the job done. But and any World Series champion you've ever seen has done the same thing. But that's that's kind of where we are now, and I think I'm excited about the bullpen though now. Now that Presley kind of has something going. I'm not sure what it is, but he got something going. And so for now, I think we're pretty good at
4 of 4 for save opportunities he's got going. So we'll take that to start the year.
100%, man. 100%.
Something, Ethan, I think so far, you and I have both been high on two particular bullpen pieces that have not done quite as well as we predicted so far.
Eli Morgan has been breaking my heart, man.
So it's Nate Pearson too.
Dude,
I'm a Pearson guy, man. I'm a Pearson guy too. He's got good stuff. I'll keep saying it.
Man.
I'll keep saying it. He'll keep proving me wrong. But he has good stuff, man. Pearson does. I'm a fan of his stuff, but he won't be here for a while.
He's hopefully, and we've seen it before, where they go down to AAA and they come back up and they figured it out and they're fine. And I hope that's Nate Pearson and Eli Morgan. Again, we could hope that his injury was starting to happen before, and maybe that was bothering him, and he comes back and he's better. But right now, I look like a complete jackass for how highly I've been talking about Eli Morgan.
Yeah, me too. I get you. But
listen, every time Pearson's
part
in
of
there,
it, right?
Every time Pearson's in there, I'm like, okay, see, he's gonna prove me right, and then boom, there you go. It's all part of the game, We're looking at the pitchers quite a bit here in the bullpen, but I think we had a 16-run game already. We've had what's the other one? The 18-run game against the A's, I think.
Oh goodness, yeah.
I mean, I think we might be near the top of the league in runs scored. Much of it because of those two games. But one guy who's just not really stepping up yet, but I think he's going to have a clutch hit one of these days, Ethan. Justin Turner, right? It's funny because he's a veteran. He's been around, but now it just seems like every time he comes up with men on base, and every time he comes up, he does not come through. I mean, what's your take on Justin right now?
Whatever clutch gene he used to have, it has left his body. It has flown to Jupiter.
He's waiting till October.
He's good for one thing so far, and that's the occasional walk. And he does work a pitch count. He doesn't get out right away most of the time. But the other thing is when he does get a walk or whatever, a measly single, he's not fast enough to steal bases.
They pitch right for him.
So I think his leadership presence, I will admit, has definitely probably helped the clubhouse.
You hope.
But when John Birdie, who I'm not dissing by any means, is hitting that much better than your supposed clutch bench hitter, you might want to rethink a couple things. I think he's been disappointing. I think if he keeps at this pace, we could see him gone before the end of the year. If he's still batting 160 come All-Star break,
150.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's down to 152 now.
Oh, that's.
Yeah, I mean,
but also Dansby's hitting 169 right now. But at least Dansby's got 4 homers under his belt.
Well, that's because Dansby had a good week. When Dansby has a good week on the plate, he's going to have 1 or 2 bad. And everybody calls Happ streaky. I think Swanson is the streakiest hitter on the team, to be honest. So I'm not too worried about him because that's.
And also that has nothing to do with this because Justin does not provide what Dansby does on the defense, right?
No,
Dansby
after the last 2 series.
He's definitely a two-way player. But yeah, Justin's he's an anomaly, right? You want to have someone like that on the bench, but then but when he comes in, you need him to come through. I mean, even I think was it Birdie or someone? I think Birdie came off the bench one that came through. And I'm like, that's kind of. And now we have Bruhan back as well, right? Is he coming back? I'm just seeing all these shifts.
Yes, to my knowledge, Bruhan is coming back.
I think interesting to see how the bench looks.
Played last night.
Yeah, it's interesting how the bench is going to look. Yeah, I think he came in late or something like that. But
no, he didn't.
Turner, I like I said when we first started, I think Turner's going to come clutch one of these days. I don't know when. I like saying those vague things, so when it happens, I'm like, "Hi, I told you so," even though it's like 2 months later. But I think there is this element of veteran leadership, and hopefully he's getting into PCA and teaching PCA how to be a big leaguer too. Because I mean that kid is something special. We need him to just be who he is.
My thing with Justin Turner, and the reason I wanted to bring this up on this podcast today is because I liked Patrick Wisdom. I understand he wasn't that great of a baseball player, but he hit for power. That was about it. He had a 200 or sub batting average, but he could pinch hit and get you a big home run, and he did it a couple times last year. And people crucified him at the stake and wanted him gone by the All-Star break, but nobody's talking about Justin Turner. And I'm just like,
No. Hold on.
No, because I was going to say the same thing.
The Patrick Wisdom. Well,
defensively,
the Patrick Wisdom crucifixion was because of that same performance 2 seasons in a row. I mean, he went 2 seasons
but
that same
he had
performance.
power at least. He had power.
Yeah, but he was the same person 2 years in a row.
Yet.
I'm glad we got rid of him, man. And listen, now Justin Turner, he's not going to be Patrick Wisdom. He won't have the power. But
no,
you hope that he gets either in a groove or they will. I mean, by the way, Ethan, I'm not saying they're not going to send him away. They can get DFA him next month. It's just a matter of like, I would rather have this working with this than Patrick Wisdom. You know what you got, and it was 2 seasons.
Right,
ago.
and I'm not saying that we should have kept him. That is not at all the point I'm trying to make. I'm just saying some of y'all need to start noticing and treat Justin Turner the same way you treat Patrick Wisdom.
and so far,
we don't know the effect he's having on PCA and the bench with that veteran presence.
Is true.
Yeah,
but veteran's presence strikes out at the plate every time. Like, okay.
Yeah, you don't want PCA to follow him on that side of it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think but I like our roster right now the way it is, and I mean the results are showing it so far. Again, even though we're just about 10% of the way through the season, but how about you start talking about some of the wins that we've gotten, some of the clutch hits. Nico, that 10th inning hit against the Padres, man, like. The triple, I mean, he ended up being stranded at third, and again, thankfully, Thielbar came through in the bottom of the 10th. But how about Nico, man? He just kind of, I looked it up, and he's hitting like 333 in the last 5 games, and that's after going over 3 yesterday. So he just had a really good trip, and I think he loves the West Coast.
Well, he's from there. He's from Sacramento Bay Area, so that's probably the weather he's used to, and whatever. But right now, he's, to me, who Nico Hoerner honestly reminds me of is Luis Ariz.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to hit for power, and we talked about it in the offseason. Let Nico be a singles, doubles hitter. Don't
him to hit for power.
No, he can hit for average, and with the addition of Tucker, we're okay without him hitting 20 homers. And he hits clutch, man, and he doesn't strike out. He always comes up big, it seems. I think he needs to get moved up in the lineup, and I've said that all week in our game chats. He's due for
maybe just flip flopping with Damsey right now. I don't know.
That's where I was going with that.
Yeah,
because Busch, I will say you want your 4-hole hitter to have power. I agree with that. Nico doesn't have that, but he has everything else. He's a Gold Glove defensive player, gets the hits, clutch. It seems to me like his batting averages and all of his metrics are even better with runners in scoring position.
Well, he's showing his swing. He's showing his swing just like a good contact hitter does, when people on base, because just hit a little shot to the other side and you're good to go.
And as we saw, he's fast. He can turn a double into a triple like that. Not quite to the extent of PCA, but
no, PCA would have been standing triple. He had to slide in. But Rob, what'd you take on Nico? I mean, just kind of like how he's almost like the standard bearer right now at the Cubs, having the veteran standing, of course, but also coming through in the clutch and coming through on a daily basis.
Yeah, I mean he's obviously clutch. We've all kind of known he was clutch for quite some time. I don't, in my opinion, I've always been pretty high on Nico. Yeah. I also was one of those who said, if we got to trade him, we got to trade him to get that ace, to get that, big piece. If Nico is the cost for a superstar, then okay, we've got other people who can very effectively play second. Certainly not automatic plug and play at the same defensive level, and certainly not the same person. Of course,
I think we're saying this. I think I was saying this off season. I liked his complimentary feel. Now that we have power in the lineup, I like that he's a singles hitter. because we need that. Like when he was a singles hitter and we had no power, then he's a glaring mark in the lineup that there is no power. And here's a guy who does nothing but little reps here, and he's batting fourth, batting fifth. But now that we have some power, I feel like his skill set is a lot more valuable than it was even last year. Ethan, what do you think about that theory?
No, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
And not only that, but you have Suzuki that's been hitting for power. PCA, the bottom of the lineup's been hitting for power. So if he's like the one person that is solely hitting for average, you can afford to do that now. And I think it increases the value of having. I mean, look at. I know we just got beat by him and whatever, and we shouldn't be talking about a rival team, but the Padres, man, they use Luis Arias correctly. He's complemented by tons of power hitters in that lineup.
Tatis, Arias, Machado,
all
holy
over the
shit.
place.
That's just
it's a good team. They got a good team. Dude.
How about that trio though?
Right
Tatis, Arias, Machado. Oof.
Yep.
What are they? They're 14-4, right?
Something like that. Yeah, they're first place.
And 3 of their losses are to us. So
right. So I was looking at it. We're looking at it, and this is actually the next thing we want to talk about is this. The Cubs. I mean, like, and we've talked about it. Kind of, we've alluded to it a little bit already, but like, they're 12-9, first place in the Central, which is the weakest quote unquote weakest division, whatever. But they're doing this against non-Central teams. I looked it up, and they're the teams that we've played, their overall record in all the games, not including Cubs games, are 676. That's the win percentage. So 2 out of every 3 games they're winning when they're not playing the Cubs. Meanwhile, the Cubs are 12-9, so they're beating them, more than they're losing to them. So, it's early, but shit, man, this is the gauntlet we were worried about at the beginning of the season. And I think I remember, I've said it many times. If we're 500 at the end of April, I'll be happy. Now I'm taking that back. I don't want to be 500 because I think we have a team that can be like that. Rob, just tell me a little bit. How surprised are you? Are you not surprised? I'm a little surprised at this, in a good way. Obviously.
I'm not surprised that we are over 500.
Right.
I'm a little surprised that we have the second best run differential in the league, behind only the Padres, who we were spanking everybody for a little while.
Yeah.
I am truthfully a little surprised that purely taking OPS as a statistic, which we're going to have debates about that at some point, I'm sure.
Sure.
OPS, we've got 3 of the top 25 hitters in all of baseball, not including Carson Kelly, who doesn't even qualify for the stat leaderboards. Kyle Tucker, Michael Busch, and Seiya Suzuki are 14, 21, and 24 of the top 25. There's the only people with Arizona, San Diego,
right,
Boston, and the Yankees have multiples.
Yeah,
nobody else.
We have.
If we're up there with the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Padres, it's clear.
It's not smoke and mirrors. It's not smoke and mirrors. This is a really talented freaking team.
An upper echelon team.
Yeah.
There's no excuse as of right now not to win our division. As of right now. Yeah,
there's even without Steele, I think we're still good for that. Ethan, how surprised are you that where we are, or did you see this coming? I feel like we all talked about it, but I don't know. Even if I told you we were going to be defeated in April, I still would be surprised right now.
Well, like I said, we've said it before. I'll say it one more time. We were just wanting to go 500.
Right.
The fact that we are 12-9, I'm not surprised. I knew we were capable of it. What's surprising to me is the people that have stepped up. And we all knew Kyle Tucker was good, but he's like NL MVP, right? Good, right?
Yeah. That dude is real good.
Nico Hoerner's going for the average title right now, the batting, and then and by the way, Hap has Happ and Swanson are doing pretty rough right now, and that's not going to last.
Right.
So then imagine
Right.
when they figure it out, and it's just
I
like,
mean, and one last note on this is that we're 12-9, and we've only had 8 home games, and 2 of them were in Japan. So we've
True.
essentially done this with 15 road games and 6 home games, and we're 12-9.
and something I'm glad you brought that up because I'm
Yeah.
going to make a connection to another sports team from another league. But when the Blackhawks won their Stanley Cup in 2013, they set the actual NHL record for the best start of the season, and most of their games were on the road. But
Right.
that got them to spend more time together and get to know
Yeah.
each other, and that
Big part
chemistry
of it.
went out to the ice. And so far, again, from that Patrick Mooney article from The Athletic, he's talking about how every single time he's gone to the Cubs clubhouse on the West Coast trip, there's nobody on their phone. They're playing video
Right.
games together, or they're hanging out. And that's huge. That team chemistry, you can't force that. I mean, look at the 2022 Padres. They
Right.
had every superstar in the book, and they couldn't click personality wise. So I
Yeah.
think that's a huge part of our success is that the guys seem to be friends in personal life, and they seem to
Yeah.
enjoy being around each other. It's more than just a team. You can sense that bond that they're starting to have because
Well,
they look like they're having fun out there.
Right.
Like they're playing on a travel team in high school again, and they're happy to play baseball. Like that's what it looks like to me, honestly.
Well, winning helps that too.
and that's what happens when you build a team instead of buy one.
Right. 100%.
Oh my god!
A lot of these guys are coming up from AAA.
Put that on the marquee.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things I love seeing is that, and we've all talked about this, is just it's funny because you have someone like PCA who is this up and comer, a young kid, I should say, is more like it. Could be an all-star consideration this year, but he's developing. He found his stroke in California, which is awesome. Hopefully he brings that back to Chicago. Then you have Carson Kelly continuing to rake, continuing. I mean, we're waiting for it to fall off, but it hasn't yet. You know, when you think about what good teams need, it's sometimes unexpected contributors, right? Unexpected contributions. Contrast those two. I mean, those two guys are pretty. They're not the same person, but you look at they're both contributing pretty nicely to what we're doing so far.
Yeah, and I just think we've seen so far it's been a total team effort. Just across the
up
board.
And down, baby, up and down. 1 to 9.
When your catchers are performing offensively, like I know catcher defense is more important, but man, when your 9-hole hitters are hitting, both of them are hitting over 300 or close to it.
That's stupid.
Whoa.
It's really
especially
stupid.
for what to me, it's compensation for the bullshit we dealt with last year at the catcher.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's true. It's karma coming back to on a positive side. That is pretty hilarious. Rob, I mean, we all have, but Rob, I think you've loved PCA. I mean, and again, who hasn't? But I mean, talk to me about just what you saw on the West Coast trip. He's a fucking 5-tool. Sorry, he's a 5-tool guy, and I think it started showing again.
Oh, it absolutely. He has been since we acquired him. That's why. That's why we're starting to see exactly the person we thought he was going to be. I think.
Yeah, I agree.
And there's some immaturity there still. Of course, there's a little bit of ego there on the defensive side at least.
I love it though. I love it.
I love it because that's the kind of plays that turn into highlight plays if you don't bobble them.
Right.
Which I'm not talking crap about them by any means. Just like that's the type of stuff that gets you the Gold Glove.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think for a sophomore player who struggled to a good extent last year, he's got an OBP of 310 and a 260 average right now, with 3 homers, 7 stolen bases. If that's the kind of pace he's on, And if that's the kind of player he is offensively, even if that's all he literally ever is,
Right.
I'm fine with it. I don't need him to be a 5-tool superstar. If he's
but I can't wait till he is
above average.
I don't need him to be, but I can't wait till he is, because that's where he got.
Yeah, he's got a few more years before I worry about that.
We had it's funny because the game that we that showed it was so the Cubs won a game that when you look back at the season, and those are the games that might make a difference at the end, and that is the 2-1 loss, or probably a 2-1 victory, where the only run that came in was 2 freaking errors on one play on one batter, where Kyle Tucker dropped that ball along the foul ground. It was an out, but he just dropped it. Then 2 pitches later, pop up straight up behind the catcher, or no, right on the plate. And Maya loses it. Gage tries to overcompensate. He misses it while trying to catch on the run. Next pitch. And by the way, at that moment, I'm like, I should make a bet on a home run right here. But I did not. And next thing you know, it's freaking Machado, I think, right?
It was, yeah.
You don't do that to like the lightest hitting person in the league, give him three chances. But man, Machado's gonna blow you up. And Ethan, I kind of know what you're thinking, because we were both live chatting on Facebook. But give me your thoughts on just after a couple of days of like deep compressing.
No, and I'm going to start that off with a friendly disclaimer. In the heat of a game, I am such a meatball sometimes, and I apologize to everybody. I'm sorry. I just, the first thought.
I try to stay even. Yeah.
I literally in one of the game chats said to DFA Workman after that, and I mean, I don't mean that. I was just so freaking pissed off. I was just, but it was. I was watching it with my fiance, and
that's funny.
We were watching everything transpire, and I looked at her and I said, I would bet my life savings that he hits a home run.
Right.
And he did. It was the most predictable home run.
Right.
Literally. And my only regret is that I didn't pull BetMGM up and make a live bet.
Exactly.
I'm right with you on that.
Man.
In the long run, it didn't matter. But as listening to some other Cubs podcasts and reading some of the athletic articles, we got lucky that the defensive errors didn't cost us a game, but they will down the line. So I don't think that's the norm for us. I don't think it'll continue, hopefully, but they've got to button that up. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but they've been talking more in the outfield too when they're going for outs. Like, to me, like they're looking.
Because there was a couple mess ups 2 weeks ago where PCA and Ian Happ, looked at him. I remember one game in particular where Ian Happ looked at PCA and was like, "What are you doing?" Because he was like way in the left field, and Happ caught it. But they collided, and I don't know what. I mean, obviously it's in the heat of the moment. He's probably like, go get DFA PCA, like you were saying with Workman. But it's,
I wouldn't go that far with him.
But they bumped into each other, and like Hap gave him a glare and just walked away. It was pretty intense. But yeah, like you said, since then there's a lot more communication going on.
And that's kind of the thing that I mentioned when you asked me about PCA is that exact kind of thing. Like, you got 2 really good or even best in the league, potentially corner outfielders.
Yeah.
You can be great in your own right without running into them.
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
Like, you can cover the absolute crap out of your center field without running into one of them.
Right, they'll be fine over there and left and right for sure.
The Tucker drop irked me more than the Workman drop.
He's also a Gold Glover. He needs to make that.
Yeah, he's got to. And if he wants the kind of money that he's gonna want, which I really hope the Ricketts open the checkbook for him, but that's a conversation for July or August.
I was gonna say I'm not closing my checkbook because that one play.
No, I'm not. But
no,
but if he's gonna want the amount of zeros,
for sure,
or the number preceding all those zeros that he's gonna want, I expect you to make that 999 times out of 1,000.
And he probably does.
That better be your one.
Yeah, he probably does. Yeah,
miss a basket catch on, because that is something that every outfielder is trained to do. That's
Yeah.
my only complaint about him so far, and it's not even a permanent complaint. It's
Yeah.
only about that one instance.
And the funny thing is, if that was in Wrigley, he would have hit the wall and died. So he had a little more room.
True.
He had some
Maybe
room.
that
I
on
guess
that.
we can't really complain about that too much. But
Guys,
Yeah,
we have something.
no,
We have
let's
some
just
tough
go.
times. We have some good times
Clean
right
that
now. We got. I'm curious about this Arizona series. It's going to be. Is this another measuring stick? Right. Eugenio Suarez. I looked it up. He is hitting 120 since the third game of the season. Now, remember, after 3 games, he had 4 home runs against us. So I don't know what the hell it is with him and the Cubs, but he was doing it in Cincy. He's doing it again in Arizona. Rob, you're looking at this again. It keeps our gauntlet going, right? What are you looking for this weekend from the Cubbies?
I mean, we're facing the 4th best team in the NL West.
Yeah,
Which is not an insult because they got pretty much the same record as us.
Right. I was gonna say.
So, I mean, it's going to be a good series. I would like to see. I'm looking for how we perform versus them, as opposed to how we performed versus them at the end of March.
Well, it's
I don't want to see a crooked number.
Yeah,
that's all I'm looking for out of this series is
it's also
no crooked numbers in the yell column.
Yeah,
If we can avoid that, I'm happy.
it's a different story too because like back then we were just coming off Japan. We didn't know our personality. We didn't know our personnel, etc. You know, excuses. Of course, they all count the same. But I think we're a different team. Ethan, what do you think about that?
No, I definitely do.
Yeah.
And the Diamondbacks have won 3 series in a row, and then they played today. They beat the Marlins, so they're coming in from Miami. It's supposed
Everyone
to
loves
be,
coming from Miami.
It's going to be tomorrow. The weather will be nice, but Saturday and Sunday it's going to be Cubby weather.
That's
so
good.
I hope that plays a factor. But for whatever freaking reason, the Diamondbacks bend us over and get a cricket paddle and whack us every single time they play us. For whatever reason. Sorry, I've been watching a ton of Bluey, so I apologize.
Listen. You heard it here first.
Anybody with young children knows about Bluey. But anyways, I'm just the Arizona Diamondbacks have our number, but they're coming in hot. And for whatever reason, they have some Cub killers on their lineup. So I think tomorrow, getting off to a strong, taking advantage of us having the day off today, and them coming back from, other side of the country. I hope we just come out aggressive in the first couple innings. I was complaining about it this week, but I hope they start swinging earlier in the pitch counts and just attacking earlier. Get after it.
Well, listen, it's gonna be fun to see them come home after an oddly successful, and I say oddly successful in the sense that you don't usually think 3-3 is successful, but I do feel it's a lot more successful than 3-3 against this kind of caliber of opponent and how close the games we did lose were for the most part. But I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to almost kind of like gauge them against, like Rob, like you said, gauge them against how we opened versus how we are now.
Which we went 2-2 in the opener.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
we could have gone 3-1. The bullpen blew that one, frankly.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes, and that's going to be it for the Ivy League. Again, we invite you to email us. Tell us how dumb we are. Tell us how smart we are. Talk about Northwestern football. Talk about oranges in Florida. Talk about whatever happened in Savannah.
NIU football.
NIU football. You want to talk about Tony Romo and EIU football? That's cool too. Anyway, Rob, Ethan, say goodbye. Say goodbye, everybody.
Have a good week, everybody.
Good night, folks.
See you, everybody.